Hey guys, how are you? We are going to do a drawing of a dove this week. We're going to have a little bit of scripture in it, and I think it'll be a fun project for us. A dove is a sign of peace, and the scripture that I chose to go with it is about peacemakers as well. I need you guys to get your pencil and eraser, either your sharpie or your micron pens, and some chalk pastels. Maybe also a paper towel to like help with the blending. And actually, if you have some spray fixative or hairspray, would be a good thing for when you're all done with your image, so that the chalk pastel doesn't smear too much. Okay, so go get your supplies, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Thanks. Okay, guys, so this is our image that we're going to be drawing today. And it's actually pretty, pretty easy. It's a pretty simple drawing. But I wanted to tell you a few things about it. First of all, I pretty much copied this drawing of a dove from a drawing that was done by a famous artist. His name was Pablo Picasso. He was known for the Cubist movement, which was like in the early 1900s. And he drew this as a symbol of peace, which is also how I'm using it. So I kind of borrowed the shape of Picasso's dove, but when I was researching it a little bit, I found a very interesting story that apparently Pablo Picasso was good friends with another artist named Henri Matisse, who was an Impressionist painter. And it turns out that Matisse owned a bunch of doves. So when Picasso would go over to his house to visit, he would see all of the doves, and that is actually what he used to draw this image. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting story, so I thought I'd throw that in there for you. But we can go ahead and get started now. So go ahead and get your pencils and draw your guidelines, okay? And we'll get started. Okay, guys, so I need to make sure that your paper is vertical, that it's tall. Okay, normally we do our artwork the other way, but this one we're going to do this way. And I have my guidelines right in the center of my page. I'm not sure if you guys can see them. Yeah, there they are. Okay, guys. I actually started this a little bit before I started taping, because I actually started taping and decided that I wanted to change it a little bit. So I just changed it, and I'm going to come back now and tell you what I did. The very first thing that we're going to do is this little line right here. This is the neck of our bird. This is going to be his wing. And this is like his kind of his body and his neck going down to his beak right here. So this line is going to start about an inch from the left of that center line, just a little bit above. It's going to curve down, and then it's going to go straight, just a little bit on top of this line. Go straight, and then curve down below the line to a point about right there. Okay. Now our wing, we're going to start a little bit to the right of this line. Again, it's about an inch, maybe a little bit more from our center. We're going to go up, and I want you to use small strokes instead of one big stroke, and kind of keep looking back at your screen, at my drawing, to make sure that yours looks like mine, that it's kind of the same angle, that it goes up high. Let's see, it crosses there more, well, yep, this would be like kind of the middle of these top squares. If I put my pencil there, that would be about the middle, and it crosses just a little bit above that, this square right here, or rectangle. So it's going to go up, it's going to cross over, and then it's going to go about through the middle of this cube right here, and hook down just a little bit. Okay, now I want to make a line that's, or just a dot really, that's about the same distance as this from this line, but over on this side. So it's going to be about like here. I'm going to put it right down here on my line. Okay, and that's where I want my wing to end, is on that dot. So I'm going to go up here to this curve, and I'm going to bring it in a little bit, just a little bit. And then I'm going to do like three more bumps. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I'm wondering if maybe I went in a little bit too fast. Maybe a little bit more like that. I don't know. But play around with it and get it to be the right angle. And again, this is pencil, so we can erase all of this and start over and do it as many times as we want. Do be careful not to rip your paper when you're erasing, okay? But just play around with it and get it to a shape that you like. I think that's about right. Okay, now we're going to do his tail. So that goes down to our line. We're going to start just to the left of that, but we're not going to touch that. This is going to be like a new line. It's going to go up like that, about kind of halfway to the height of the wing. And then it's going to come around and have 3 like tail feathers. So there's 1, 2, 3. About like that. Okay. Now over here, we need to finish his beak. So this is the top part of his beak. We're going to do the bottom part of his beak like that. Just a little bit of a curved line. And then we're going to kind of curve up and back down like that. Okay. And then his very last wing is going to start about right here. And it's going to swing down. It's going to go past this point. See our feather up here? If we were to draw a line that goes straight down, like there, it needs to go past that. So maybe instead of going down here, I should start curving over a little bit more, like that. Okay, and then this is going to have 3 little feathers as well. So I'm going to do 1, and they're kind of going to go in a little bit as I go up. So there's 1, 2, 3. You know what, I'm going to make this wing a little bit wider. I'm sorry, guys. I like to kind of play around. You know, this is kind of what I do. I kind of draw an image, and then I decide if I want to make some changes to it or not. And I liked it the way that it was, but to be honest, I wanted to change it mostly because I want to fit those words in there, and I want to make sure that my wings are wide enough to fit those words. So I think that if I make it just a little bit wider, that might be better. So take a look at your wings now and see if you like the shape. Like this should sort of kind of curve like this, and this should sort of look like a, you know, it almost sort of looks like a half moon shape. Maybe this could come up a little bit more or curve in a little bit. I don't know. Just play around with it until you feel like it looks right. Making sure that you have enough room for your words, okay? So if your wings are too skinny, maybe think about making them a little bit wider. I also erased my guidelines, and you'll see that I also made some lines here for my text. Now, if you don't want to write the verse on here, that's perfectly fine. If you do want to write the verse, you don't have to write in cursive. You can just write it in regular print, you know, whatever you want to do. But if you do want to write it, I suggest making little lines first, okay? And now how I did that was I turned it sideways this way, just because for me that's easier. The word peacemakers is our longest word, and that needs to fit here between this tail and this head, because that's just the biggest space. So I made a nice straight line right there. Okay, and then from there, I tried to make 3 more lines that were about evenly spaced. So the space between them is about the same. And I made them as straight as I possibly could. In fact, you could use a ruler if you wanted to. But, you know, draw these lightly because we are going to erase them. So I did 3 above our long line. and then 1, 2, 3, 4 below this line. You want to have some space in between the lines, obviously, but you want to make sure that you don't have too much space so that you have room for the 4 lines down here and the 3 lines up here. Okay, so I went ahead and put those in. So if you want to, you can pause this and do that now. Okay, and then after that, I just realized I forgot his little eye. So I'm going to put a little dot right there. And he also has like a little twig in his mouth. It can be any shape that you want. I just kind of have a little branch and put a couple other little branches coming off of it. Maybe put one down here. I don't know. And then I put a couple berries on it. I have no idea really what this branch is, but maybe one down here. Okay, so that is our bird. Now, if you want to go ahead and print, just do that, okay? I'll show you the verse again. It's Matthew 5:9, and actually, I'm going to try this a different way than how I did it the first time. On this, it says Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be children of God. It's actually that they will be called children of God, but I didn't know how to make it fit. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to do for they will. I'm going to try to fit all of that on this line. For they will be called on this line, children of God. Okay, so if you want to do this, go ahead and pause it here if you're going to just print. And then you can go ahead and print those words out the way that you know how. If you want to do the cursive, stick with me for a minute, okay? Okay, so down here, guys, if you're choosing to do the cursive, okay, I'm not really a calligrapher. As a matter of fact, I hate my own handwriting, and this is not something that I do often. But what I'm doing is I'm approaching this like I'm drawing these letters. I'm not thinking about how I was taught to write letters in school or how to do cursive. I'm literally, as you can see, I'm using these tiny little strokes. I'm literally drawing these letters, okay? If you want to do cursive the way you were taught, completely fine. But I'm trying to copy a font that I found online that I really like. One thing that it does for its ease, it almost makes its ease like a C. And then it comes back around and brings a line down like that. So I'm going to be doing that. P-E-O. And I'm starting with peacemakers, I guess just because it's the biggest word. I don't know. I kind of tend to do silly things like that. I don't do it in order because I'm not approaching this as a writing assignment as much as a drawing assignment. So there's my C. And then my E, I'm going to draw like a C again. And bring that line back down. Okay, now the M is normal. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Again, my E is like a C. And my R is going to go up and down. And a fancy S. Okay, so there's my peacemakers. You know, I guess the rest of it I can do from top to bottom. You know, really, I don't have any other tricks. So I can let you guys pause this and just use your best handwriting. If it helps you, you could maybe do a Google search for Matthew 5:9 and write script. You know, so that you could have something to copy besides my work. On the Matthew, I did one line for the double T's there. Yeah, I think the only thing that I did that was different from normal cursive was, you know, putting maybe like a little curve on the P, and And like I said, my E's, I do like a C with a little line here, okay? So you can go ahead and pause this and write the rest of your words, and then come back to me when you're done penciling that in. Okay, guys, so I have just written my words in. You know, I've realized that there is also this weird S thing, but you know what? It's kind of complicated. If you want to go for it, I'm not going to stop you, but it is kind of complicated. I think it's supposed to look like an S that goes below the line right here. But it's attached like this, and then it has an S, and then it has like a little loop that comes up like that. Okay. And over here, it's the same thing, except technically it's supposed to loop down, but I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it that way or erase this one little line here so that it has more of the appearance of an S. Like have that line go up to an S and then loop around to this other S. I think I might just do that. Anyway, if that's something you want to do, you may. I'm going to post an image right after I finish talking here of my calligraphy that I did. So if you'd like to copy it, you may, or make any modifications to yours, you can, okay? So go ahead and if you do want to pause it, go ahead and do that now. The next step, which I just did, is to go ahead and ink in your text and your bird. Now, I want to make a couple points about that. Now, I used the Sharpie this time. I had been using a micron pen. If you happen to have both, I think the micron pens work better. But if not, the Sharpies work fine. Like I said, this is Sharpie. It's perfectly fine. But they tend to bleed just a tiny bit more than the micron pens. It doesn't really matter. But make sure when you're doing this, let's see, the text, I don't really have anything special to say. Make sure you cross all your little T's and dot all your little I's. On your bird, because this is supposed to be a real simple kind of a line drawing, and it's supposed to look like you just took a pen and just went and drew it real nice and easy without all these other steps. It's supposed to be really nice and clean. So before I was saying it was okay to make a lot of little strokes. This time I really don't want you to do that. I want you to do as much of it as possible in like one big stroke. And then when you start to have your, like right now my wrist is kind of cramped and I really can't go much more. Don't move your arm all around. Pick your hand up, move your paper, and get it at an angle that's comfortable for you so that you can go in now and do the rest of this. Now right here, I start to feel cramped again. I'm going to move my paper another way to make it easier. And I'm going to be really careful that when I put my pen back down, when I'm starting a new section, that I put it right back where the other spot was so that I don't have any obvious like overlaps or anything, okay? And then, of course, where they're not supposed to touch, you know, leave that open like there and there. Okay, so go ahead and ink this in. Give it a few seconds, I don't know, 10, 20 seconds after you're done inking it in, and then go through and erase everything, okay? Now, if you want to do extra special calligraphy for either the bird or the text, I'm going to do that next. If you don't care to do that, go ahead and let this run while you're erasing. If you do want to do that next step, go ahead and pause this while you're erasing and then come back and I'll show you, okay? Okay, so now here's my basic calligraphy, or handwriting, whatever you want to call it. But something that you can do to give it a little bit more of a three-dimensional look is, let's see, anytime that you have a line that goes straight down, go ahead and make that line a little bit thicker. That one there, and this one here. But then when it curves, it's going to be thinner again. Maybe that there, be a little bit thicker. Okay, so I'm going to do that on my M. I'll do that on my B here. Let me just do it on all my capital letters first. On my P. You don't have to make it really thick, but just a little bit thicker, and it just gives it a little something. Now, like on this here, I'm going to do this G. I'm not going to do the round part. I'm just going to do this part here. And then make it skinny again. Like that. And this here, I'll do the straight part. But not, I'm going to kind of fade it in so that, so there's like a thinner part and a wider part. You want to do like that, I don't know. Maybe this part here should start out a little wider and then get thinner. So you can do that. Let's see, you can do that also like on this K here. F. T. Anything that has that straight part. Now on these L's, I'm going to do it on just one side. I'm going to do it on the left, not on the right. Okay, like that. Same thing with my B. I'm going to do it on the left side. Okay, get this T here. I forgot this line. I'll do that little T and this H. Okay, and now I'm going to do all of my curves. Oh, wait, I forgot these two. Hold on. Okay, I've got an L and a D. Okay. You know what? Maybe this Y. Okay. And then the next thing that I'm going to do on my cursive, and this will be the last thing that I do on my cursive, is anytime that there's like a circle, like an A, a D, a C, maybe the S, on the left side, I'm just going to make it a little bit thicker. Now, I did a couple different kinds of E's, and my E's are a little bit kind of small. I don't know. If I wanted to, I guess I could do like the outside. There's not room on the inside without closing up that little hole, but I could do a little line on the outside, I suppose. Like that. Make it thicker on the outside. There, like that. Actually, I'd like to do it on this B too, on these little the little bumps on the B, or curves, whatever. like that. Just kind of makes it stand out a little bit more. Okay. I'll do my 9. Okay, so there's blessed. So on my A, I can do it. Actually, I can make this part of my R a little bit wider too. On the outside of my E, okay, so there's my text. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to round. So my text is done. I'm going to do my bird now. Now on each of these little curves up here, actually I didn't mean to make it quite that big, but I'm going to do the inside of each of these curves. Like that there, and that there. Try to make it look like it's seamless. Kind of like that. Okay, now I'm going to come around to over here. And I want to make this just this part of the curve a little bit thicker, and I want it to be gradual. So, I don't know, something like that. And then maybe it comes back into a point. I don't know. Maybe not. You never go to a point or not. Just play around with it, whatever you like. Okay, so there's that side. Let me see, over here, I'm going to do the same thing on all of these little loops. Now over here, depending on how close your curves are to your words, you might want to make your extra line on the outside of this bump. So instead of like before I was going inside, come out like this. Because I don't feel like I have a whole lot of extra room. I mean, here I do, but down here I don't. So I would rather have this little extra bit on the outside, like that. And then after you color it in, you can see if your lines are smooth. Like this has like this little angle on it. I'm going to turn this around and just smooth that out. It's a little bit thicker than I had wanted, but it's okay. I think it just makes it stand out a little bit more. But now that that one's a little bit thicker, maybe I want to make a few of these. Just a tiny bit thicker. Like that. Okay, now right in here in the middle of this, I want that to be thicker. So I want to start out like here, maybe a little bit thicker, and then come back in like that. Okay, something like that. Maybe I want it to come down a little bit more gradually. Something like that. Let me see. On his little head right here, where this curve is, I'll make that a little bit wider. Maybe down here. Okay, I think that is it. So that is it for my inking. And now I'm going to go get my chalk pastels and a paper towel. Okay guys, so now for this next part, you could use really any color in the world that you wanted to use. These are the colors that I chose. I wanted to use a yellow mostly to kind of show the light, like the light kind of shining on the dove. And the other colors I just thought were peaceful. If you think other colors would work better, or you don't like that combination, that's perfectly fine. Do whatever you want to do. Okay, but I am going to start with my lightest color, which is going to be my yellow. And I want that to be like over here by my dove. Now, my first one, I had it just in front of him. This one, I might want it to be coming up. Almost like it's shining on him a little bit more. Okay. And as you can see, this is real rough. Okay, I'm going to blend that in a minute. I'm going to add a little bit of this orange down here. I'm basically just like getting little bits of color. Like this isn't finished. I'm just putting color on it. So there's that. I don't know. Let's use some blue. So actually, I'm going to stop filming so that I can finish doing this. But just go around, but do not color the dove. Keep the dove white. And go around and just do blotches of color. Like here you saw I did the yellow and the orange and the blue. I could also go in now with some purple. Just, you know, put purple in between all those spaces. And maybe I want a little bit of green over here. Just like put little blotches of color, okay? So I'm gonna pause this and finish up going around my, my dove, and then I'll come back to you, okay? Okay guys, so I went around like that. And you know, to be honest, I actually kind of like it like that. That's not how I did my first one. This one's, you know, very rough, and you can see a lot of the white through there. You know what, if you like yours the way that it is, like I kind of like that, you can completely just leave it. I think on mine, I would maybe just add, oh, I can't hold it, okay. Add a little bit of orange up here, just to kind of match the orange that's down here. But, I don't know, I could leave that. If you're happy with it, go ahead and leave it. What I was gonna do, which I'll go ahead and do just to show you, is blend this in. Okay, I need 2 hands and I don't have 2 hands. So basically just take the paper towel and work from your light colors out around your bird, and just kind of blend it. And you can use a lot of pressure or a little bit of pressure. You know, you can kind of just dab if you want, but just to kind of get it into the paper a little bit more. So let me pause this and do that real quick. Okay, so as you can see, I rubbed that in now, and there's really not any white spaces in here anymore. I've blended it, you know, all through. I didn't rub too hard, but just a little bit, and I shook off the extra dust. And I'm going to go in maybe 1 or 2 more times with a couple more layers and kind of do the same thing. But each time I'll leave more and more of the pastel on the paper until I finally end up with a look that I like. Okay, so let me do that. And you guys work on yours, and I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so I just did 2 more layers, and I think I'm done. Like I said, you know, towards the end, I really just would almost just kind of dab, just to kind of get off any excess. And I kind of wanted it to be darker around the edges, so I left a little bit more of the color on towards the edges and wiped a little bit more away. I don't know if you can see like through there. I wiped a little bit more off. Now likewise over here, I wanted it to be lighter over here, so I wiped more off over here, and then I put more color in here, more color in here. And as I was working, I mean, it's very natural that you're going to get some color in the dove, and I actually like that. I think that's okay. But I was a little bit overly, like I just did it again. I just did it right there because this stuff is messy, as you guys can see on your own work. This is messy. So here's what happens. If you get some in here and you don't want it there, just go ahead and use your eraser. Okay, maybe wash your hands first. Wait until you're all done with the whole thing. And then you can take your eraser. I can't show you. Hold on, let me try it this way. Okay. There you go. Now, if it's really, really dark, you're probably not gonna be able to get all the color off. But if it's just a little bit, like what I just did accidentally, it'll come off pretty reasonably, okay? So when you're all done, wash your hands, dry them off, get your eraser, and erase at least where the words are. If there's some around the edge, like right there, that's fine. But at least erase where the words are to make sure that it's nice and white. If you want to, you could even erase a tiny bit through here just to make it glow like a little bit more. I've got like a couple spaces that are kind of white. And then when you're done, make sure, you might even want to wash your hands again before you rub this off, you know, the eraser dust, or take it outside and just, you know, shake it out a little bit outside. And then if you have fixative, spray fixative or hairspray, take this outside and give it a good spray of that so that this dust doesn't keep smearing and it stays put a little bit better. Okay, so that is our image. And if you want, you could hang it up or mat it or frame it. I bought these mats that you can see on my thing here. I bought these on Amazon, and I like putting some of my artwork in them. So anyway, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson, and I hope you have a good week, and I will see you next time, okay? Take care.